Stop the recording, by the way. There we go. Good morning. We are now live on YouTube. I always get confused by the button. It's either leave meeting or say I'm okay with this being recorded and live streamed, but we are, because that's what we do. It is the end of April. This is our last April edition. I saw a couple snowflakes this morning and I'm tired of it. How's it going on your neck of the woods there, Michael?
It is nice and sunny. Actually, we had a cool break this week where we were only having around, I think it was total 81 degrees. Today is back to 97. So never mind. Yesterday was cool too. So,
well, that's a good thing we're talking about ice cream and milkshakes and all that stuff before we started live streaming this morning. So I think we're all going to have milkshakes today.
I think so. I had ice cream the other night, and my cat was trying to eat it as I was eating it. She's licking it. That's probably what got me sick this morning.
It seems like that would be, something that cat folks do.
Yeah.
Share ice cream. So we started off today talking about AU and some of the conferences coming up. So yesterday was officially the last day that you could vote for Autodesk University classes, but some of our MCR attendees here today have had a bunch of classes put in there. So good luck to everybody. We'll find out in a month or two if we get to go to New Orleans in September. But before September conference, we do have Bluebeam Extreme. So those conferences proposals were closed already, but put that on your calendar. We're going to most likely be there in some way, shape, or form. And look forward to heading to San Diego at the end of August. So today is the last of our scheduled topics. So we have to get our classes out this week. Michael, you and I got to figure out what we want to do for everybody and get some topics in there. So at the end of today's show or during if you've got ideas for topics, please put them in the chat. We've got some ideas of what we want to get done, but we'd like to get ahead a couple months to make our marketing folks happy.
Exactly. That'll help everyone. And also you all, if you have a topic of need for us to go through and cover. So just at the end, and also at the end, depending on how well we do here, if you are giving us below a 5 rating, which is fine, just give us feedback so we know we could do better. Otherwise, you just crush our hearts that we aren't performing to the top echelon of what you all would like.
Right. And we also report you directly to your CEO because, right? We don't do that?
Always.
Okay.
I'll send a video.
Send a video. So speaking of comparing things, sometimes we get compared to a 3 or a 5 or 4 or whatever. Today, we're going to be talking about document comparison. So not just what's different between here and here, what changed, and also we'll do markup importing and exporting too, because that's another way of document comparison. Maybe?
Yeah, we can do
kind
that.
Of. Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah.
So we'll get going here in just a second.
We'll also maybe talk about some things coming out.
Oh.
Or share links.
Or my big admission. Let's just get it out of the way before we start sharing.
Okay.
I was wrong. And you were right. I'll just put it that way. The new version of Revu is not called Super Ultra Mega, and I'm crushed. I'm heartbroken, and I'm definitely going to have a milkshake now to make up for it. So not Super Ultra Mega. All right, let's talk about.
I didn't even catch the name. It is Revu 21.
Correct.
Yeah. Bonus points.
Yeah, there you go. All right. That said, you want to start?
I'll start
to share.
I have things that we can use to show things.
Oh, there's so many details, Doug. Don't you worry.
There are details. I don't know if you want to post a link or you just have a quick Google search. You can find them.
No. We haven't been told we can't talk about them, but we haven't been told we can talk about them. But let's just say changes, they are a coming. I think there's a lot of things I'm excited about. I think it's going to be pretty interesting. It's substantial. Let's put it that way.
It is. It is definitely a rework.
In July.
Yep.
So those who
the user interface isn't changing. Let me just make that clear.
as far as we know.
Yeah, as far as we know, but they iPad app. There are other things. Yeah, there are other things being released.
Yeah, iPad is not being affected, nor is it being updated, which is kind of a bummer that I've seen so far. Your custom tools, not only will they still work, they will get better.
Yep.
Yes. So good stuff. As soon as we get the green light, we're going to be fighting to be the first to share the story. But
yeah, we'll definitely talk on an MCR. If we don't catch it on an MCR, we'll put a YouTube.
Yep.
Yeah. Similar to something I showed with the end of life EOL. So just remember, we are platinum partners with Bluebeam, so we do have to abide by some rules.
Exactly.
But alrighty, let's move forward. Can't wait. Yes. So let's get going and talking about some of the features in Revu and talking about compare. So some of the ways we can compare, I usually show the raster versus vector. Typically, some folks like to just do a side-by-side, which is completely okay. So you have the option to go down in the bottom and split your screen, Control-2. And then unsplit is to go and do Control-Shift-2. But you have the options of going through and synchronizing your page or entire document. So if you have more than one page, you have the option of going to multiple pages. And you can go and compare this way. So this is more of a visual compare of you just knowing where differences are. Let me show raster. And going through and checking the differences of your PDF in this manner. So this is one way. The other way, I don't like the compare tool. I like the overlay tool, but I'll show you compare just to give you a little example. The reason I don't like to show you compare, because most things are revision cloud. If you don't have a set that's revision cloud, then that's fine. It'll be more of an advantage to you. But this is going to go and revision things that are different. So you get to go through and go to documents and compare here 2 different documents that you want. So I'm going to go and do this one here and this one here. Then I had the option of picking points, which I will do with overlay with one of my sets to show you how that works. Then you have select window. Do you want to open up in split screen synchronize? So this is going to open up your older PDF with your, so it's going to open up the original PDF with the new compared PDF side by side so you can see differences. And then the comparison type, printed documents, same printer or printed documents scanned, whichever one you're going to use for the type of PDFs that you have. I've never clicked into advanced settings. So that's what this is. So you can have a different color markup. So this is all new to me. We're going to learn as we go. So
there's
first
all
one
sorts
is
of crazy stuff in here.
Yeah. So this is the saved name, I guess. Grid size. So if you want to have any grids. Pixel density. So I'm guessing if this is a scanned PDF. Color sensitivity. And you have some margins. Rendering DPI. Dots per inch. Include flat markups. Include markups. I didn't know you could change the color, so we're going to use magenta. Fill color. Blue. Opacity. Subject. Difference. Cloud locked, not locked. Apply to new document B. Okay. So these are being applied to this document. It's going to keep this old document and apply it to this one. So this is where you can change it. You can say document A or both. Okay, cool. Let's go. I'm going to hit OK. So now again, side by side. So your original, your new one, and the differences between the both highlighted with a revision. So again, if you have revision clouds, already pre-created on these, you're going to be a little confused. But if you don't, then it's great. So you can go through and see the differences.
And that's where that advanced option comes in. So if you have revision clouds that are a different color, go ahead and create them in advance. That way, this makes the differences pop out more. And you can change the title, the subject of what shows up in the markups list. So with this compare, there's a question, do you recommend going sheet by sheet or doing the full document?
You can only do sheet by sheets. I'm pretty sure you can't do it batch unless you have extreme. Let me go and look. Do you remember?
The regular compare works in all versions of Revu for now. But otherwise, I think extreme would be necessary for multiple. But I think you can do multiple pages in standard. You just can't do multiple documents in standard. Does that sound right?
For now.
Let's find out.
I'm looking right now.
A good rabbit hole to go down. Oh, you're cheating on the Google? Ooh, good question from Chris. Can you manually shift the documents if the drawings don't have the same points? Yes, you can. Manual alignment is key for that. And it's actually almost kind of fun to do. Michael's going to show that here when he does the overlay. So there's two versions of, well, a few versions of document comparison, but as official tools, you have document comparison and then you have overlay pages. Both of them will do the manual alignment. So if they're on different title blocks or anything like that, you can easily get that figured out.
Doesn't show it here.
Yep. It doesn't say. Document. Where's it at?
It's funny because it's not listed here, but it's listed in something in the future.
Yeah. I thought it was there. Translate, add formulas. Oh. Well, hot dang. It doesn't work on a website, does it?
It's only going to recents.
I was going to say, that's pretty clever if it did work.
See, I can't control F, so let me go over here.
Does that true work?
Overlay and compare two or more PDF versions. So that's up here at the top. Right? No, it's on page. It's down here.
Overlay right two or, okay.
So you still have that
overlay
option.
Pages, it doesn't say documents. So I think that was where the question was.
Because this one is compare and you can do more, but I don't know if you get this or not. Batch compare multiple drawing revisions. Yes. So yes, it's the second one. It's down here. Right here.
There we go. But that's also like the markup export, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. Sorry, folks, haven't had coffee today, so Jason's going to help steer me to things. But okay, so let's go forward. Now, again, that was the compare. I don't prefer this method. What we're going to do next is overlay and going through and deciding the overlay location by points. First, I'm just going to do the overlay of something that hasn't been moved. So typically, right, not typically, sometimes designers will move viewports to realign in different areas. And what happens there, if you're trying to do an overlay without aligning by points, is it's just going to stack the PDFs right on top of one another. And if they're not in the same location, we're just going to see a blurry vision of what we used to have for like 3D glasses, right? Okay, so I'm going to compare these two that align automatically. But what you have in the options is your source documents, number of pages for that source doc. I prefer to let Revu decide what colors to assign, but you can by all means assign these to a different color. What it's doing is it's giving this PDF its own layer color. So it's doing that color processing on your PDF to make it its own layer. Okay, next one is the second one. Now, again, by default, I prefer, but you by all means can create whatever you'd like. And this layer name is the name it's going to give its layer in the layers panel. Hit OK. We will do this next. These will align because I know they align. Now, if you know that the viewport has changed and they're not going to align, you're going to click this, which we will do in a little bit. But for now, I'm going to hit OK. Now, everything that is aligned is maintained in its native black line weight color. Everything that does not align will be shown in its layer color.
Scale has no effect on this. So no scale factors are applied. So this drawing doesn't have a scale set to it. But it's assuming, again, if you know exactly that they are going to line up because they were printed from the same program and the same title block and the same viewport, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew the designer didn't change this. Well, actually, these are sets that are given to us, but these haven't been changed. They weren't moved, right? Because the viewport is probably for us in Revit, it's the view, but from here to here. So this wasn't moved, right? We'll just say this is the view, and you can move the view like this in the design software for folks that have never used the design software. And this moves, right? And it's easy to do that. Maybe they wanted to move it down a little bit to get it more centered. Who knows? There's going to be many reasons why things get moved. But if that happens, the next time it tries to overlay with the other one, they're not going to align, and you're going to get mismatching layers. So if I go to my layers here, we can see the layer colors, and it would be these two colors that aren't going to align.
Red and green make black. That doesn't make much sense, but okay.
Well,
Makes
it's
it easy.
Yeah. Okay. So, but yeah, now this allows, I prefer this method because again, it's not revisioning cloud things. It's more precise on the layer types of what it is. I prefer this. And I would also like your opinion on what you all prefer, but if not, this is one way to go through and compare.
You know why I like this version better? So when you do document comparison, it will show you what changed, right? Which is great. Maybe that's all you need to see. If you overlay, since these are both vector-based, you can now measure and see how much they've changed, right? So it's a huge difference in the capability. So instead of saying, hey, this east wall moved a little bit, you can actually measure, say, hey, it looks like this east wall moved 8.5 feet. You know, so it makes those decisions and that reaction a little better. Pretty fancy.
Yes, that's over here as well. And in the option to not print.
Yep. So being able to toggle them on and off with the layer, since when you're setting this up, so Michael, when you do this again and you align points, you'll show how you add those colors. And maybe next time we'll do blue and pink or something.
The red and green do not make black. Black is the native color of the PDF itself.
Yep. It's only highlighting changes.
Yep.
Or differences, rather.
If you want to change the color of the PDF, you can just go to color processing and change it. Okay. So next one is aligning by points. So I'll do this first one.
So
okay.
Slow down.
Oh,
slow down. That's where you can change the color. So if you don't want it to be red or you want it to be a different color, that's a spot to do it.
Yep. And anything else you want to add, like a background, some opacity, type of blending.
Does it matter if one version is full size and the other one is flattened? You mean a different size? It doesn't matter if it's flattened or not.
And it doesn't matter the sheet size if you're going to do align by points.
Normal file size. Yeah. Is this the reason they started review compare PDFs? Maybe. I don't know.
Review compare PDFs for what reason? Okay. I'm going to go and add the other one.
Is that the right one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, no, it's not. So this is the target of location of where it's going to place it, which does not matter because I'm going to align by points.
Get ready. This is kind of fun.
So it's going to ask me to pick 3 points. I don't close this out, but by all means, you can if you are proficient in this and you're not training anyone from this. I prefer to have this because we train on this. But I'm going to hit OK. Now, what do I prefer? I prefer, well, do you want me to tell you what I prefer, Jason, or do you want to tell the folks what you prefer, how to align these?
Well, you go first and then I'll tell them mine.
So I don't like going at intersections because there's too many click points. I like to go at the end of my grid placements. Or you could place title block, but the thing is the view moves, title block doesn't. So I need to click things in the view. So hard structural points that aren't going to move, which typically grids don't move. So if you know your set, which you probably should, you'll be able to find points. I don't like to pick the midpoints though, by the way. So I don't like to go into here and pick anything from here because you can see that there's multiple snaps. There's not one single snap, which my end of my line has a single snap.
Another good use for turning off your line weights.
You bugger. But I still don't have that. See, it's still not. Yeah. This makes this even better.
Right.
Yeah, because there's no snap override to midpoint or intersection. So yeah, there's that. That's why I like my endpoints. That's my personal preference.
I would absolutely not use a grid line.
What would you use?
Because even though the grid lines may not move, the line type and the line type scale could, right? So those dashes and those openings between the long and the short could be moved. So I would use building corners.
I can still use the bottom of the bubble though. The intersection is not going to change.
The size of the bubble could change.
Yeah, but not the intersection point.
Maybe, yeah. So you clicked away from that dialogue that popped up when you first did overlay because it said pick 3 points and then it had a recommendation. What was that?
Grids are just in the design software. I just grabbed this from a Revit project.
Yeah.
I guess I could grab a column if I knew it didn't change and just go from the corner.
Vince uses building corners as far apart as possible. Right. So when you grab these 3 points, make sure that they're spread out across because it needs to have a good X and Y to scale from. Don't do it in like one little area. It won't be as accurate. So if you have grid lines, you can click on like the intersection of A and the intersection of J, and then maybe the endpoint of another one, and that would give it the 3 points.
So I know the scale didn't change. So I'm going to go to here. And then we'll go to here.
Try to make a triangle with the points.
And I'm going to go to here.
Ready to go? Whoa.
So, whoa, it is off. And I probably should have remembered where I placed these, but we'll do our best.
That's why the X shows up. So your number 2 point is there. Your number 1 point is buried.
But what grid I was clicking, I'm pretty sure it was F, and I'm pretty sure it was this one. And then I'm pretty sure it was this one. Okay. So this first one was A. So what happens is it transposes the other locations of where the other document was. So now I can go here. Again, this is why I like my endpoints, because it allows me to snap to them.
Can you,
but again, to each their own.
Your other document is still open. Would allow you to go back and see them in the middle of this
Maybe.
command. So before you hit 3, go over there. Oh, never mind. I screwed it all up. Oh yeah, I totally screwed it up.
It makes me go back and realign and pick my points. Okay.
It was a good question though.
Yeah. So here, then F top and J bottom. Okay. Wait.
I think
it just messed me up completely.
Oh, totally. So let's start over. That's just fine, because this is a good trick that David's suggesting. Because we're having trouble figuring out exactly where those points were. Right? Review will say 1, 2, 3 of what points you clicked, but it didn't tell you what you clicked on. So David sharing the trick, taking a snapshot of the selected points. That would work.
Yeah. You just have to remember. So first one here. Second one here. Then F and J. Okay. And I was a little off. So this is why you need to really watch your clicks.
It is 3D now.
3D glasses. So yeah, just
maybe do it again and just click the endpoints of the lines instead of the little gaps, because it screws me up every time too. So maybe if we go slow, the community will help us keep track. Because remember, Michael hasn't had coffee, and it's also 2 hours earlier than it is for.
I just hit a line. I clicked the ends, I thought, so maybe I go a little slower on my first selection.
There we go.
So we'll go here.
1. Yep. Grab it. Remember, you have to have your snap to content toggle turned on for this.
I want to make sure it's the first snap. Okay. Then we'll do the intersection of F.
Yep.
For the top.
Do the intersection. And the end of J. So you got a nice big wide triangle. There we go. Perfect.
Ooh, I may have messed up.
Ooh, yeah, that's off. Weird.
Hope that was it.
We'll find out. Oh, looking pretty good so far. Still a little bit off. That's weird.
I think it's the F because it moved over to the left.
So, yeah, I would have used building corners. That way you don't have circles, because solving those intersections can always, not always, sometimes be tricky, because normally review wants to snap to the quadrants. And when you get closer, sometimes it will shift off.
Let me do this.
Notice you have to do them in the same order too.
I guess, yeah, if you look at, see how it changes? If you do, when it clicks blue is where it's going to be the best. So we'll do bottom left. right to the left of the sinks here.
Mm-hmm.
And then bottom. Ooh, no, we won't.
Yeah, just grab that
Column.
Ooh, okay. It's like memory game for adults. This is rough. We could turn this into a drinking game real easy.
There's this one here.
Yep. And then the left
To
of
the
the
left
sink.
of the sink.
And then the column, but I don't remember which corner
This
of the column.
one right here.
Wait till you have to do it on 25 sheets, right? No, thank you.
It's still not aligning. I wonder if there's just it is. There's just things that have moved, it looks like.
Very interesting. Yeah, good comment, Caitlin. I don't trust people enough to not adjust grid start and end points, at least when adding dimensions. Agreed.
I didn't even think about that, moving the start and end points, because it is going to stretch out your center points.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they made maybe they did scale up the drawing. We can just blame the whole metric conversion thing. I had this conversation again. International feet versus survey feet for us civil folks, and what that means to yards and meters, and going back to 1959. And oh man, there's so much history and things can go wrong there. So we looked at document comparison, right? So the straight up tool, go up to document, compare, it overlays them and then adds a cloud. If you wanted to add a cloud, it adds a cloud around what's changed. When you do overlay, it actually overlays them and then color codes them so you can see them both at the same time.
Exactly.
Both have their pros and cons.
Yeah, I was going to say they both have their pros and cons. You can always align by points. Just make sure you're aware of where you're aligning by points. And then also the other one was a visual look from splitting screen and synchronizing documents. And I think we have one more thing to show, which is importing markups. So you have the option, if you have a new revised set, to go through and import any old markups. So I'm just going to open up a PDF set. Markups were all already made. This one was by the collaboration team. So what you're able to do under the markups list here is go to the markups list dropdown, go to markups, and import any markups you'd like from an older set. So when you hit export down here, you can't export these as a different file type. It saves them out as a BAX file, or you don't need to, because you can just import a BAX or a .pdf. So I can just go to older documents and go through and grab my markups. They're going to be in here. So I can grab them all, and they are brought in to the exact same place. So yes, in this instance, if this viewport moved, my recommendation is to use the select or V command, cross all, and then you can play Tetris.
Oh.
So you can go like this or Tetris. Oops. It's not scaled yet. Or Tetris, which would be, you know, the up arrow, down arrow until you get there.
Mm-hmm. So when you're doing it this way, and this is what I kind of want to see what you, the community, thinks when you're doing similar things. How do you back check and make sure that some of these things have been done? So we did the compare, did the overlay, and then we're doing the markups. If you import the old markups, this does make it so you can go through and then just erase the ones that you know that have been done. Statuses.
Statuses, yep. Does it import by page index or page label? By page number, yeah. So whatever page in sequence of import, it'll import them in. Right. So if you have one slipped in between, you're gonna probably want to separate PDFs out. One of many reasons I prefer to work in sets. Agreed, Doug. So creating sets over here is a huge asset to your advantage, because it's only, and it is proprietary, so only Revu has this. Allows you to create .b what's the extension?
Do sets work with new format or BIM 360?
BEX. Well, for new forma, there may be a new solution coming out in July.
Yeah, I don't know. Sets is not only for Extreme currently. Good question.
Beth caught my drop.
Yeah. I wonder if it works with BIM 360. I don't think it does, because again, it's proprietary.
Yeah. It is. So wait, yeah, we don't even need a question answering that because it only works in Revu, the BEX file extension.
Right.
It's proprietary to Bluebeam. So the extension that allows it to combine is proprietary to Bluebeam. Correct. How do sets work? So if you export, so let's say I have an entire document set that doesn't live together, right? What you can do is you can say, well, let's say they live together. And this is back to, was it Ed that was asking about reducing file size? So you can go documents, reduce file size, and try to get your file reduced in terms of storage and the amount of items in it. A lot of things that happen when people export or are not controlling the PDFs themselves and they're just getting things sent to them is how the writer creates GIFs and GIFs into the viewports. So it's a lot more graphic intensive. And what you need to do is you either need to go and make sure it's a written PDF from Bluebeam. So you can go to document properties and check that it's a Bluebeam writer. So down here, if it's not, you can go file, create from file, and create it as a Bluebeam written PDF. The next one would be to do the reduce file size. The third one was someone said flatten. I mean, that still absorbs the full markup size into the PDF. So I don't know if that would be helpful. The next one would be to right click on your entire document set and extract pages as individual pages. Then bring them in as a set. So how do sets work? You can go through and I will show you how this will work, but you can go through your sheets wherever they live and they don't live together, correct?
Different paths.
They're all in their own individual extracted PDFs, right? Right. Jason, waiting for you to confirm with me. Okay. And then you can go and create a new set. So I'm going to add those PDFs. So let's go and there they are, creating sets, shift here, all of these, please. Now in here, you have the option of seeing all of your PDFs. These are named and numbered. And if you didn't name and number them correctly like this for it to look for the metadata, by all means, you can make them exported this way by just auto creating and generating that data from the regions of your page labels. Okay, then you can go to options. Now, how's it going to sort over here in our panel of sets? It'll sort the data in this manner. So it's going to show file name and page label, sort by file name and page label. It's going to sort order by alphabetical ascending, and it's going to stack multiple page documents. No, I don't want to do that. I like having my branch out. Revision filter auto. So if there's any revisions, which I do have a revision, which both of them have appended on them, but that's fine. So there's two of the same documents in here and they're just going to stack right next to each other. So that's going to be great. So we can get a little example of that. Cross out previous revisions and then current revisions stack or highlight. However you want to show, I have them stacking and we'll show you what that looks like. You can copy markups to the newly added revision. So if there's any markups going to this new revision, you can see that as well. And you can stamp previous revisions as superseded. Go to categories. How is it going to organize my sheet sets? So this is following that typical standard of looking for the abbreviations from these specific areas. And this is how it's going to name them.
this is a very good reason of why to use sets, right? So maybe you're the architect, but you don't want to actually add the landscape and civil plans to your PDF file, but you still want them all together. So here you can have just a landscape plan separate, just a civil plan separate, and then still incorporate them all in one view.
Correct. Next one is tags. So is it going to go through and tag different things? And again, AIA standards, what this one's following. I'm going to hit OK. Then I'm going to hit OK. It's going to show me what it did. So how is it going to use these naming conventions and align them? So you can go through and have all these. And if you wanted to add any tags, which it didn't pick any tags up or create any tags, you can go and hit OK and add them here. I'm going to hit OK, and then it's going to ask for door schedules here, because these are the two same ones. And it's just going to stack them right next to each other in my set over here. So I'm going to hit OK. Those matched. Great. Just letting me know that it matched. If I didn't want them to match, I could hit skip. So when these are closed, they don't really scroll through the pages. So if I have this open, I can't go past my general sheets. But we can see down here, it has 2 of 22, right? So if you wanted to scroll down your pages as if it was a full document set, you just need to make sure that you have your panels open for where you're trying to scroll. So if I click through here and I'm ready to go down, and then, come on, a lot of architectural sets. And then past, right? I need to make sure these are open past that point so I can go through and click through those ones, right?
So it's a little, there's a learning curve when it comes to navigating sets, but it does make it great. Maybe you don't care about the electrical stuff, or you don't care about the landscape stuff. If you leave that collapsed, it will kind of skip them through the set. Ooh, okay. So can we upload sets to Bluebeam Studio session or projects? Sessions, no.
Not sessions, but I remember trying this in here. Let me look for projects.
And then,
I don't think you can in a project either, because it doesn't know where those PDFs are stored unless it was created in the project, just so you know. I think that's the workflow I had to do. But you can test it.
Okay, so yes, Vince, drawings must be better over there than they are in the UK, because we tried numerous times. It cannot get Bluebeam to recognize drawing numbers or revisions. Interesting.
Yeah, see, here's one in here, but there was a conflict. And I believe that's because the PDFs were pointed to the local drive, not already in the project when I created the set.
Can you describe how creating creating a set and combining them are totally different, right? Where if you're combining, you're going to add 5 pages to a 10-page set to end up with a 15-page PDF. With this, you're still ending up with a 10-page PDF that has a link to other ones, essentially.
Yeah, and by the way, right, if I'm making a revision, it's making it on that single PDF. I need to send this out for coordination as a combined PDF set. You just go here, publish, combined, and you're done.
Right.
And if you're one of those folks that has a larger PDF set, fine, do a PDF package, which is like a zip file, and then put it in a Studio project and share it.
So another question,
that's one way.
Assuming sets would not be recommended for making a company standards manual. I think it can be, right? If you're the aggregator of this, let's say you're doing all the general stuff, and then somebody else is doing standards for, landscape department, you can just have them give you their pages, combine them in a set, and then when you're ready to publish it to the company, hit that combine button. That way you don't have to deal with, figuring out where it all fits together. It will just pop right in when you replace their section.
Yep.
So not a normal workflow, but a totally possible, and it sounds good in my head. Ooh, good question. If you have hyperlinks to other documents, those would need to be made in Bluebeam versus Word, where they do them now.
Yeah.
Which isn't a huge deal, right? Because you have that search option.
And if hyperlinks, you could also do, if you have Extreme, you could do batch hyperlinking to areas. But yeah,
we just did that a couple of weeks ago, as well. A whole thing on hyperlinks. Yes, Doug, here you go. And this goes to the root of review, right? Collaboration digitally. Sets is a great way for multiple people to be working on the same drawing package at the same time. Absolutely. So civil folks, landscape folks, architectural folks, work on your stuff, and then whomever is going to be, compiling it can do it all in a set, and then you replace those sheets as the new ones come along, for whatever revision. Pretty cool stuff. Now, can you do stuff with, can you compare sets to one another?
I don't think so. I've never tried.
Right.
Because I don't think you can. Yeah, you can't compare the BEX file extension.
Yeah, just individual pages. So you'd have to combine each set and then run compare. Which could be interesting. You saw in that set that you made that not all the title blocks were the same, right?
Yeah,
and that happens.
And this will allow you to go through and do that. So again, you can do individual. This is going to be saved out as them looking at as one complete set, which is great. And this allows you to work also with a single page versus multiple pages, right? Because the other way would be to do a different processing. So under here, you have advanced, and your rendering engine is hardware, software, or legacy. You could try either of these two different ones if you're having a rendering issue with your PDFs. And that may help your PDF itself. Yeah.
Yeah, system requirements isn't really listed for Bluebeam. They just said, Windows 10 or 11. They don't say how many gigs of RAM you need or processor speeds or anything like that. So obviously there are differences if you're using hardware or software. And I've noticed that, Michael and I are both on extremely fast custom laptops. There's still some PDFs that are a little laggy to open. And I don't mess with those settings very often, but if I did, I'm guaranteeing I would see a difference because I can rely on, the horsepower of my computer more.
Exactly.
Working with single pages is so much better when you're working from the cloud. Again, hardware and internet speed. There's other factors getting in there. So yeah, single pages would be better because it's a smaller file. From the cloud.
What else?
The cloud. You'll be very familiar with Bluebeam and the cloud come this summer. Just saying. It's going to be fun.
Well, you can or you cannot. So there are options.
That's true, right? I always think of that meme with Grandpa Simpson. When old man yells at cloud. Man, I really gotta get memes hooked up to my Stream Deck so I can just pop up whenever they're in my head. So good stuff. All right. So we went through document comparison. We went through overlay.
Yes.
Went through markups, importing and exporting theirs. And then we even got into sets a little bit. So we love to go down those rabbit holes and do different things. So if there's any questions on YouTube, now would be the time to type them in and we'll answer those. And otherwise, we got a good question here from David. Any tips for takeoff markups? So I understand how to import and export the markups, but how about when they are off a little bit? Off as in location, or off as in incorrect scale and maybe not clicked on the right spot? They've changed. Ooh. This is a good one, right? So let's say you had a window opening that was 3 feet. Now it's 4 feet. How do you figure out those things? Can you compare markups? So we compared documents, which compared the vector line work.
So yeah, he's saying if something changed, I mean, you could just move it. So there's no way for it to auto snap to something different, right? So you're saying a dimension had changed. I go to markups, I import these in. Yeah, there's no way to, you move them around, but you can go back and repick points, right? Those are your options. And that is available. Sorry, I keep hearing my wife left in a hurry and left my dog out, and she keeps jumping on the sliding glass door to be let in. It's great.
Funny how that works, right? Yeah, it doesn't have that dynamic link like some CAD objects where once you tie a dimension to it and then you change that main dimension, it updates. Revu doesn't do that. It'd be cool, but it's usually dealing with a static PDF, right? There's nothing that's going to move in there technically.
Yeah, it's not going to auto snap to a different size. So if this changed, right, you would just have to move it.
And that would be part of the practice anyways, go through and make sure everything touches anyway.
I believe I answered that for you, Doug, in the other thing form, but yes, you can set up your own studio.
Right there. So
server here.
Another rabbit hole sidetrack. This question's been coming up a lot recently, especially with government and not using cloud, not using unapproved FedRAMP cloud stuff. You know, how do you move if you wanted a government agency to be able to use a FedRAMP approved cloud server and you still want to use Revu? How do you do that? So here you'd be able to go in and define a new server that's not looking at the 5 that Bluebeam provides, right? US, UK, Australia, Germany, and Sweden. So Michael's typing.
So yes, you had the option of going through and recreating this if you don't need Studio Prime to do this.
No, there used to be something called Studio Enterprise, which was already hit its end of life, that allowed you to do things like that.
Never mind. I was gonna drop another hint, but that's fine.
Oh, now you're just being mean. All right. So go back to that Studio Managed Server thing.
Okay.
You can hit that plus sign. So here you can put in the address, email, password. So I don't have one to test. Kind of wish I did.
Yeah, we don't have one to test, unfortunately. But this is where you put in your address, the email location for it, and then whatever authentication you want to use. And you don't need Prime for this. This is just natively within your studio, and you can attach to a new server. I believe I attached a link to that as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Caitlin. Hopefully we'll see you again.
See you again soon.
Yeah, Doug, if you want to give us your Windows password and
we'll set it up for you,
and we'll be happy to do that for you. No, just kidding. All right. Well, we got about 5 minutes left here on our last April edition. May is next week already. Holy
Can you
cow.
believe it's almost May already?
Oh. Topic. You know, Beth, we love off topic.
Outer Banks is that TV show, right?
Outer Banks recommendations, ice cream or other. I don't know what Outer.
There's a TV show called Outer Banks, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, it's in North Carolina. I've never been to North Carolina. It's on my list. I really want to go to Asheville. I got some friends that live there, and the biking is amazing. And you know, I heard there's decent barbecue and decent craft beer. So I'm in. So a road trip. I think we gotta.
Let's go. I'll
Midwest
fly out
University.
to you. We'll road trip out.
DJ CJ, can you make this happen? Oh, it's in North Carolina. Oh, Outer Banks, North Carolina. There we go. So there we go. DJ CJ is going to make it happen. We're going to do Midwest University in North Carolina. It's been decided. It's done.
It's already been predetermined.
We'll get our Beth on the call. Love me some North Carolina. See, CJ's been. I'm jealous.
So we had a question come through just randomly from an email from a client that was looking on how to create spaces. Just to give an overview, and maybe they can refer to this. They never came to the MCR, but in order to create spaces, you can do it from the dynamic fill, or you can create it over here. There is no auto creation of spaces unless you're coming from Revit into Revu.
Mm-hmm.
So just to be clear, you can't automatically create. There's no one-click button, generate spaces. You have to click add space and click where the space is going to be.
See, now I just feel like I have to tease one more thing. That's changing. Oh,
yes.
Look. Okay.
Look, there's coffee.
Oh, coffee. Yeah. So there we go. Yeah. Auto spaces would be really cool. I mean, that feature would be amazing, but it'd be hard to program, I would think.
I think so too,
because there's window and door openings, and you got all sorts of things that need an eye for that.
And the reason why it works in Revit for rooms is because it's seeing a boundary of walls, which is an element which has data driven to it, where this is coming in as not data centric, right? There are lines. Yeah.
Ones and zeros and X's and Y's, right?
Mm-hmm. But you can create them. So again, you can add a space here, click the region where you want to add the space, and you're good to go.
And that I wonder if there's a way to go somewhat back on topic with document comparison, if you can just compare spaces. Oh, because you can do regions. You can do. Go back to document overlay.
Well, I guess you would save it on your own PDF. So hold on. It's going to default whatever PDF you have open. That's why I prefer to close things out.
Yeah.
But you can edit your defaults too if you wanted. What's the question?
So get rid of that one. Hit the X and then add. And then go back to your other files that you had open. So source, click the ellipsis button. You were doing... I forgot which ones, where they were, but yeah, you're doing that one, and then you're doing the metric one. Let's see, select region. There we go. So if you just want to overlay one little area, so it kind of works with spaces, but it's not a space. Yeah. We really do need to find out if we're allowed to talk about it, but the person we need to talk to is on vacation this week. So really crashed our plans for
for
being renegades
really
today.
crashed our plans.
But I'm trying to stay in their good graces.
Yes. There you go. So yeah.
There. Compare just a little area. You don't have to do the whole page. Yes, you can copy and paste spaces. Good tip. Very cool. So we went through quite a bit today. We did go down a couple rabbit holes. Sorry, not sorry, as usual. With that, we still got to work on what our topic's going to be for next week. So as I mentioned when we started, if you've got ideas, put them in the comments, either on YouTube or put them here in Zoom, or better yet, when that survey pops up at the end, if you're a Zoom attendee, say, hey, I really want to talk about this or talk about that. More than willing to take on those topics. And hey, if you want to join us, we're open to that too sometimes too. So,
yep. Thanks everyone as always. And we look forward to seeing you all next week with a new topic and hopefully some more news for those folks that have been tuning in. And thank you all from the YouTube land. You can always join us here in Zoom as well. If you ever have any questions, feel free to shoot them in the comment area. And if you're watching this as a recording, leave a comment, share, and maybe
like
a
and
thumbs
subscribe
up
and all that other stuff.
Yeah. All righty. Thank you all. See you all next week.
Take care.